Okay guys, welcome to my how to hold videos. Today we're going to be looking at Dust2, and specifically long A on Dust2. This is long A. We're going to be looking at buying strategies, timings, positions and angles, grenades and afterplant T positions. So we're going to go through these one at a time. First, we're going to do buying strategies. So we've got pistol round, the armor pistol round if you lose the first round, anti-ecos and buy rounds. Firstly, the pistol round. On the pistol round you can buy a few things. You can buy armor, you can buy some grenades, so flashbangs, smokes or HE grenades, and you can buy some pistols. Recommended would either to be buy just Kevlar, buy flashbangs over smokes or HEs unless you're going to stack grenades at long on pistol round. If you're going to buy grenades, try to buy a 50 or a 5.7 as they're going to do more damage against armored opponents, because most teams that rush long as Ts will have armor. They won't be using grenades to rush long very effectively. So let's recap. Pistol round, you can buy Kevlar, you can buy a flash, a HE and a P250, you can buy a flash and a 5.7, you could buy a smoke and a kit if you want to delay them rushing long and you think they might hit B instead. Buy a HE and a 5.7 or a HE and a kit if you're going to stack long and then you're going to fall back. So let's look at if you lose the first round, you're going to armor pistol. You could buy a P250 and armor, you could buy a 5.7 and armor. If you buy the P250 you could probably buy a flashbang. It all depends on how much you spent on the first round and how much kills you got on the first round as well. You could buy the scout. You got to make sure you play the long angles then, so the corner or the car or sight, we'll go over them in a bit. If you win this first round, then you're going to be anti-eco. The two guns that I would suggest buying if you can't afford the M4 would be the FAMAS or the MP7. Make sure you buy head armor, as they will only have pistols, and they're going to one-shot you in the head. And the reason you buy the MP7 and the FAMAS is due to long range. The other SMGs aren't as good. So if you're buying the MP7, make sure you buy some nades. You could also buy a kit as well. The flash against pistols is going to work more effectively than a smoke. On a full buy round, you're going to be wanting to buy the M4. You're going to be buying lots of grenades. Pistol if you've got lots of money, and the defuse kit. You could also buy the AWP if you want to play the long ranges. Make sure you stock up on your grenades. These include incendiary grenades, which I'd prefer using two flashes, a smoke, and an incendiary grenade over the HE grenade. These are all different combinations. You should buy a kit if you've got 3 kits already on the site. Perhaps not buying a kit would be saving $400. You could also not buy a helmet if you know you're going up against AKs and AWPs, and you're going to save another $350. So it depends on how much money you got, how much you want to buy. So now let's look at timings. So there's 3 main positions you're going to spawn as CTs. You're either going to spawn in the middle, at the far side or the close side, and Ts are really going to have 2 main spawns that are going to affect it long. It's going to be the close one and the far one.
This is our
Look at the
day.
middle one. If you run as fast as you can with your knife out, you're going to get there in about 8 seconds. If you're at the far spawn,
Let's get this done.
you'll still get there in about 8 seconds. However, you'd be towards the end of the 8 seconds, so almost 9 seconds it takes you to get to that corner, which is where the engagement will happen. If you have a really good spawn,
Move it.
you'll get there in 7 seconds to the corner where that engagement point is. So, if you have a good spawn, you might not need to worry about Ts
Move, my brothers,
taking
move.
that long, because they can only get there in 8 seconds, having a good spawn. But if you have any of the other 2 spawns, you're going to have to worry about that really easily. Okay, so if you see Ts will go to that point, and the CTs will go from CT spawn to this corner. So that corner where the CTs are and the doors is where your engagement point is going to be. So as we talked about before, the CTs are going to get there in 7 to 9 seconds, depending on spawn, and the Ts will take 8 seconds or longer to get there. So there is some overlap, so you've got to be wary of this when you're playing long as CTs. there are a few ways of dealing with this, which we'll cover in a bit. So now we're going to talk about positions you can play, angles you're going to hold, aggressive positions, defensive positions, and AWP positions. So these are all the positions you can hold. There's in the bedroom, which is a strong aggressive position. There's by the door. There's at the blue bin. There's at the right side. There's in the pit. There's at the corner. There's at the platform next to the pit. There's at the barrel at the door, which is an aggressive position. There's at the car, which they just starting to become defensive positions. There's cutout. There's onside. There's goose. There's behind second box. There's short. There's CT, depends how defensive you want to get. And then there's B ramp, which is more of an AWP position rather than the defensive position. The positions that this will, the angles that this will block off would be bedroom doors, blue bin, the other side of the blue bin, the pit jump, so if they're going to try and jump into pit, the car, so if you're playing on site you can pick up to about car without being seen from pit. There's crossover, which is between the long and the ramp, and then there's A ramp. So they're the different angles you can hold, so you can try to block them off at any of those points. So we're going to have a look at the positions now. The corner, it's a strong position. You can pull back, you can play different angles at the corner. You can peek, so you have the peeker's advantage constantly. But it is a pre-fire spot, so you got to watch out for it, and you can get flashed pretty easily. So it's a good spot, but it's a known spot, and they're going to pre-fire you pretty easily, so you got to be careful with that position. So another position you can play is in the pit, which is a really strong position. We've got to look at the pit. Really strong position. It's also another obvious position to play in. So there's going to be a bit of pre-fire, a bit of pre-aiming at the pit. It's a headshot position, so you can shoot heads. It's a good grenade position, so you can throw lots of good grenades from here. And you can always fall back if they've got, you know, control of blue bin. They've got control of A site. You can always fall back. To stop being pre-aimed at the pit, there are a couple places you can play around the pit. So you can play at this back platform ledge, where you get a couple of shots off and jump back into the pit, just to mess up with their angles a bit. Or you can play at this platform here and do the same. So it just screws with their pre-aim a bit, so you get the first couple of shots off them. You can play at this blue bin. Now most people play it with here, but what I'd recommend is you constantly pick the doors, so you get the surprise on them. And then as soon as they're in the doors, you can just fall back. You can also jump spot, so you could, you know, use a scout if you wish. I wouldn't recommend it there though. You can play behind this door. It's a 1 kill position. You're probably more likely to only get 1 kill than not to get, you know, more likely to get 1 kill than no kills. You can play inside a bedroom, which is a very strong position. As you can see, there's shadow before they can actually see you. But you can get trapped in here quite easily, and it takes a lot of effort getting to here, so it's a bit of an aggressive position, but it can pay. This barrel can work. It's an unusual position. They're not really going to be pre-aiming it, but you're quite exposed. Down on this area is quite good. You can actually see the shadow again. However, you don't have any place to fall back to again, so you could fall back against this left wall. You could jump into the pit, but there's still a gap between it, so you don't have much cover. There's the car, which is another spot you can get trapped in pretty easily, but you can get a few picks. You can adjust your height, standing on the car or not standing on the car. You can also jump spot, top the car. So this is a good position to play with a scout, jumping up, but you can get trapped pretty easily. The crossover you can play to stop them jumping into the pit. You're likely to get AWP'd from that position, but you can fall back to cubby pretty easily, or cut out pretty easily. So it's not a bad position, mostly if you're rotating too long. CT spawn, defensive position, you're going to get smoked off, but you can get your kill every now and then. So one of the strongest on-site positions is behind this box. You can sit just on the little ledge to the left. You can spot them as they try to jump into pit again. But warning, you can get AWP because it's a very long range. You can also jump spot them. You can dance around the box. So it's a very strong position. It's kind of known, but it's a bit hard to deal with sometimes. You can play behind these two boxes. You can get seen from the little platform on the left side of pit, however, it's a pretty good position either way. You can play from short as well, defensive position. This is more if you're in short and they're taking A. AWP angles, you can play from no position. If you play on this little ledge though, you're less likely to get pre-fired, as that's going to be aiming that corner. Car is also a decent AWP position. You can change up your angles on site, like you can dance around this box, you can stop them getting into pit. If they do get into pit, you can pick them at a little angle over time in pit. You can also use it to get back to Goose, just to change up your position slightly again, so they don't know exactly where you are. Get the jump on them. CT spawn, you're going to get smoked off again. And B ramp, very defensive, but can be very good if they don't have a smoke, or you can get them as their cross. Okay, now we're going to talk about grenades. So the 3 grenades I'm going to show are the flashes, the smokes, and the incendiaries. HE grenades I'm not going to show because you're either going to throw them into the doors or you're not going to buy them. We're going to show where to throw them and how to buy time, and talk about buying time as CTs. So the first grenade I'm going to show, which is a flashbang, is going to, in case you have a bad spawn, you'll flash the doors so you can peek out, either get to pit or get to a better position before they pick you. Here's another flash there you can do that does the same effect. It takes a little longer to set up, but it's slightly more effective as it won't flash you and you don't need to turn away from it. If you have a teammate who can throw smoke short as such, that'll smoke off the doors, however it is 1 second too late for anyone rushing long.
Smoke!
If you think there might be an AWP there, you can smoke this corner, so you can get to pit without the AWP peeking you, and they actually have to push through long to actually be able to see you. So that's a strong smoke, but it can be a bit of a waste of smoke, because you're not using it to buy any time. So once you're on the side, once you're out long, and they're not, they're not rushing you, and you might hear some footsteps, you might want to throw a smoke gun if you've got one.
Laying down smoke!
There or from pit. It's going to buy you about 15 to 20 seconds. So on valve surface, it's going to buy you it's going to buy you 20 seconds or so from 2 minutes. On purple surface, it will buy you a little bit longer in percentage time. So that flash will pop flash anyone out by blue. From pit, you can also throw a Molotov without peeking the doors. You can aim between the barrel and the wall. No one's going to push through that Molotov. That's going to buy you another 7 seconds or so. So if you use all your grenades wisely, you can also throw a Molotov behind.
Incendiary out!
Get anyone out.
Incendiary!
Like again, no one's going to push out of that because they've got to walk through all of the Molotov.
Flashbang!
You can splash yourself into the doors and try and push to get that aggressive position.
Throwing smoke!
In the doors, get out easily. So you might want to hold that angle close to the doors, just in case they do push through it.
Throwing
If you're
smoke!
stuck at car, you can also use it out of car. However, it does have a gap on the right hand side, so you can really only push to the left side of a ramp. So it's not a very good place to get stuck at car, if they've got long control. But it can work.
Laying down smoke!
Crossover smoke off, you can use this wall,
Throwing flashbang!
flashbang out, and try to get them as they're getting close to crossover. It's a very good flashbang, however you've got to watch out because it will not flash anyone in pit. Okay, now we're going to talk about after plant T positions. About holding long and buying time again. Say you got that bomb down. It's going to be between 35 and 45 seconds until it explodes. It takes about 10 seconds to get from the doors to the bomb plant. So you've got to buy between 30 and 20 seconds. Assuming they're at the long doors. So you can play from this corner. It's not recommended, you can usually get seen from CT spawn. This blue bin is very good, because you can pull back into it, you can buy a couple of seconds, and not many people are going to be watching that angle. Here's okay, but it's not going to be able to help out your teammates on the A site very easily. Here's okay, you can play from here, and also here. So now we'll go quickly over all the things. So the buying strategies on the pistol round, you're going to be hopefully buying armor or flashbangs against pistols. Flashbangs are more effective than smokes. If you're going to double nade long, that's okay as well. The timings are that if you have a good spawn, you'll get there before the T's do, unless you muck about a bit. However, if you've got a medium or a bad spawn, the T's can get there quicker than you can. So you got to be careful of that. There's lots of different positions you can hold, but only a couple of them are good, and it all depends on the timings you want to inflict on them. And you also want to keep changing up your position, because if they notice you're only playing from one spot, you'll get caught out very easily. The grenades, you probably want to use two flashes, a smoke, and an incendiary to buy as much time as you can for your teammates to help out, so they can't get the bomb down in time. And after plant positions, you want to be so you get one kill and you just delay them long enough without exposing yourself too long and helping out your teammates enough. Thank you.